I'm Adam Housley, and this is Bias Bash. The resignation suddenly of National Security Advisor Michael Flynn from the White House is drawing all sorts of media coverage, not only around the country, but from around the globe. Mounting pressure from critics, especially the press, largely due to Flynn's hinting at easing sanctions against Russia, seen as one of the causes for this move. Joining us via Skype with her reaction is Bureau Chief of Talk Media News and Fox News contributor Ellen Ratner. Ellen, always appreciate you coming on. I know there's been a lot of pressure on getting Flynn out of there. Have the detractors won around here by getting him to resign?
Well, let me tell you something. It's very interesting. Here I am in the middle of Africa, South Sudan, and that's all anybody's talking about. And I'm not talking about Americans who are in Africa. I'm talking about Africans. They're fascinated by this. But what is interesting is the press did focus on how they got him out of there. What was the process of resignation? Did he lie to the vice president? Did he not tell the vice president the truth? When in reality, the issue of sanctions on Russia is really where the press ought to have been focusing, and hasn't really done a great job. I mean, you mentioned it. They talk about it. They mention it in a one-liner, but they're not really focusing on what are we going to do with our relationship with Russia, what has happened in terms of sanctions, what is going to happen in terms of sanctions. None of that is really being talked about or examined by the press.
It seems like, Ellen, they're just trying to pick off Trump's cabinet one by one. They're not trying to really even go after any of the ideas that the cabinet's brought forth, if they've even brought ideas forth.
Well, they need to, the press. And listen, I'm a lefty loony. What can I say? But the press needs to be honest about it, and they need to take a look at policy issues. I was also just in India, and I have to tell you that they are very disappointed with the United States on policy issues, particularly around China. And so the whole issue is the press really looking into doing their homework around policy issues? Or, as you say, Adam, are they just trying to pick off the cabinet one by one by talking about what's going on in the inner sanctum and what is Donald Trump really thinking about people? What does he think about Sean Spicer? I mean, all that, frankly, is irrelevant. What is relevant is policy issues, and the press isn't doing their job.
Interesting also to see the reaction as compared to when the former President Obama leaned over and the hot mic caught him talking to Medvedev back in the day as well. Ellen Ratner, appreciate you coming in and always talking and giving us good feedback. For more media analysis, you can check all the top headlines, of course, coming from Africa, Ellen was, on Media Buzz with Howard Kurtz. You know, we talk about it here, 11 a.m. and 5 p.m. Sundays, only on the Fox News Channel, 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. if you're on the West Coast. Until then, I'm Adam Housley, and you've watched Bias Bash.